The very first paranormal encounter that I ever experienced took place on, I want to say, August 27th, because my family has an annual party that takes place around the last Saturday of August, and it's a yearly thing. So I'm going to assume it was the 27th because it was after we had gotten home from it. The background is that my uncle had told me a ghost story while we were at the party, and it's something I'll tell you later. And that story was about a shadow that was at my great-grandparents' house, and it terrified me. So that night, I'm in bed, and I'm still paranoid that this thing that's not even at our house, I'm afraid it's going to follow me home, chase me down, or whatever. So I was experiencing this grandiose amount of fear, and just waiting to see something. And to my horror, eventually I did see something, because I'm staring directly at my closet, and out of the darkness, a shadow of a human figure walks out, and it makes a left turn and goes out my door. And my door was either closed, I don't even remember if it was open, I'm pretty sure it was closed, it just goes through the door. And I'm like 12 years old at the time. My immediate reaction as I grab my covers, and I duck my head underneath my covers, talking with my hands, and I don't even know why, but I peek out from under the covers, I look to see if it's still there, and I believe you could see the head peering through the doorway, and then it leaves once again, and I'm still in this state of shock and awe, and what did I just see? What did I just encounter? Eventually I fall asleep, and the next day I tell my brother and I tell my dad, I saw a ghost, and they're like, you probably just have an overactive imagination, you probably just dreamed it. They give you the usual scientific excuses. I know I was awake, so I definitely wasn't dreaming, and there is a possibility that I scared myself into seeing something, and for the longest time I had completely forgotten that I had experienced that. For the longest time, I had forgotten about that, but there had also been a whole bunch of other weird experiences around the house, and I'd completely not put anything together until it must have been like 10 years later. So it starts around 2006. My brother was in middle school at that time, and he would walk home, and it was like a mile away. And as he's walking home, he sees like a stack of rocks on the side of the road. One of the rocks is perfectly shaped like a heart. Maybe not perfectly, but it's as if nature had eroded it to look in the shape of a heart. And it was a really cool thing. Whenever I'd be in his room, my immediate reaction is to grab the rock and just hold it. It was one of the coolest damn things ever. And I wish we hadn't gotten rid of it, but eventually they came to this conclusion that there was this really weird energy attached to it. So the other things that they would experience, starting off with my brother, he had a guitar amp in his room, and he said that in the morning he would hear white noise coming through it, and he'd hear a voice that would tell him, get up, or curse him out. He would just hear a voice coming through the white noise of the guitar amp. So that was unsettling to him. And then my mom would experience, I don't want to say like weird knocks, but I believe there was a time where she was watching a TV and it turned off by herself, and then she heard something scutter to the front door. And that was just weird for her. It's usually stuff like that where you'd hear something scuttle, and could have been a mouse, could have been something on the roof, could have been anything else. But usually it was some weird event, like something would turn on or turn off, then followed by a knock somewhere else. So that could have been something, trying to mess with the electricity. As in, it could have been like a raccoon and it was causing a surge, I don't know. But the strangest thing involved me, and I had completely forgotten about it. So I'm going to assume, in middle school. So this is like 2007 now. And my bed no longer has a frame, so it's just a mattress on the ground. It was rockstar living. So I'm sleeping, and all my dreams, or I don't have nightmares ever, they're usually just like really weird dreams. So in this dream, I'm in bed. I'm aware I'm in bed. And I have the sensation of someone grabbing my right leg. I feel someone grab my right leg, lift it up, and they pull me down the bed. So in the dream, I slide halfway down the bed, and it doesn't faze me, and my dream continues as normal. But when I wake up, I'm halfway down my bed. And I find it very weird that that would happen, because I remember the sensation of my leg being pulled. So, for all I know, what if like my brother walked into my room and pulled me? I don't know. What if I slid myself down? I don't know. I'm a very scientific person when it comes to anything can be explained. It's just really weird. And then I found out the same thing happened to my mom. She said that my dad was probably on a business trip or something, and she was alone in bed, and something pulled her out of bed or pushed her out of bed, but she definitely felt the sensation of someone else pushing her, pulling her. So there came this point where we started to realize that there was all this activity going on. This is probably around 2010. And my brother and my mom and I, we all had this weird sensation that we weren't alone in the house anymore. We all started to develop this kind of sinister feeling, that this feeling of someone sinister being around with us. It wasn't a good presence. So we decided, it's not that we decided, my brother was cleaning out his room and he found the rock underneath his bed. And I guess the rock started giving him these vibes. So he goes up to our mom and, Mom, I think the rock is haunted. My mom holds the rock and she also gets the same vibes. I never got those vibes. I never held it and felt a chill go down my spine, but they both immediately realized that everything started when my brother brought home the rock. And so what happened was we put it outside, put it in the front yard, so it wasn't in the house anymore, but whenever we'd be walking past the living room at night, we didn't want to look out the front window. We'd have that sensation that someone was staring at us, so we would just avoid looking outside. And one day, 2010, 2011, I eventually decided to get rid of it, and that's when everything ceased to happen. Everything went to normal. So I had completely forgotten about everything. All the activity at my home, and all the times that I was pulled or had seen something walking around, I had completely forgotten about it. In 2014, I decided to join a ghost hunting group because I wanted to have an experience. It was led by a psychic medium named Lisa, and the word psychic medium, whenever you say that, it's never a safe word. The thing about it, though, it was never for profit, it was just for fun. And Lisa would do these house exorcisms entirely for free. It was kind of hippie-ish. So you do the sea salt and sage, and we have olive oil crosses above each door frame. And it was a fun process. I'll have a story about one of those encounters pretty soon. But Lisa had a weird way of connecting to you, and the scientific part of me says she could easily just be cold reading, trying to be very general and very vague, but it was always a very unique experience whenever you talk to her and she could tell you about yourself. So I'm talking to her, and I just want to know. I say, "Hey Lisa, have I ever seen a ghost before?" And so she's thinking, she's pausing, just connecting with me or whatever. And she's like, "When you were about 10 years old, you were lying in bed and you saw something walk out of your closet." And I had never told her, so there's no way that she would know about that from me telling her personally. And it's also like a very vague and very broad description, but until that point, I had completely forgotten. I started thinking, when I was 10 years old, and that was 2014, or not 2000, that was 2004, and I don't remember. And then it started to click, like, no, I saw something in 2006. I was 12, I was laying in bed and I saw something walk out of my closet. And I had that oh crap moment. So hearing that, it was like validating because I had told my brother and my dad and they instantly pushed it aside. It was just this weird moment where everything kind of clicked. And from that point, I began to remember, like, oh yeah, we had that rock in the house. That rock that caused everything. My brother would have the voices coming through the speaker. My mom and we were pulled out of bed, and I saw the shadow. I'm pretty sure there was something there. And I wish I had the rock because I would have brought it to her. She loved to go to antique stores because there would always be these weird attachments. So I can go into that at a different time, but that's the story that I have for right now. Anyway, thank you all for listening. If you have a story, I would love to hear it. If you want me to share it for you, feel free to contact me and I'll do that for you. Anyway, stay spooky, my friends.